What's up, Roos? I'm Lawrence Brooks IV, and welcome to a new semester of Roo News.
COVID-19 mask mandate.
There's a lot to cover.
Lieutenant Governor Mike UMKC reported.
COVID cases at UMKC are at an all-time low, but a new variant could lead to uptick in numbers. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sylvia Jeffress.
And I'm Lawrence Brooks IV. UMKC went from 6 active COVID cases down to 1. This is the lowest number we have seen in years. For all cases this semester, the total cases have platooned at 249. However, this could increase with the reports of a new variant, Deltacron. Named after the 2 most recent strains of COVID, Deltacron has a chance to spike up cases. With the United Kingdom already experiencing a peak in cases, the United States and us Kansas Cityans should be on the lookout for this recent strain.
Opening this Wednesday, March 23rd, the UMKC Conservatory Opera presents Mozart's Cose fan tutte, conducted by guest conductor Maria Sensi-Sellner and directed by faculty member Mo Zhou. Come see Cose on March 23rd and March 25th at 7:30 and on Saturday at 2 p.m. at the KC Rep in the White Recital Hall. From University News, we hop right into Kansas City news. The Starbucks on 75th and Switzer is the most recent cafe to enter the union against its own company. Over 140 stores around the United States have protested against Starbucks due to working conditions. Starbucks has fired 9 people in an attempt to end this union, but it has only made it worse.
Lamont McIntyre is seeking a new settlement worth $93 million against Kansas City, Kansas. McIntyre was placed in prison for 23 years after being wrongfully convicted of double murder. Aside from this settlement, McIntyre's lawyers want to shine a light on former police detective Robert Golubski, who violated multiple black women and used his power to protect drug dealers. The United government claims that they are not liable for Golubski's actions.
Now we pass it over to Jackson Ogden and Marissa Leggio for Into the Den with Jackson Ogden.
Welcome back into the Den. I'm Jackson Ogden. To start today's show off, we have some breaking news. J.C. Hoyt, the head coach of the women's basketball team at UMKC, is leaving the program to coach at Oklahoma State. This comes after turning around the basketball team, who were one of the worst teams in the WAC after taking over in 2017. She led the team to multiple tournament runs, including a 2019 WAC championship run. She recently had a 20-plus win season for the first time. We wish her good luck. Now let's go ahead and toss to Marissa to catch us up on all things MLB as opening day quickly approaches. Marissa?
Kansas City baseball is back and spring training is in full force. The Royals made their way to sunny Arizona and played their first official spring training game this past Friday against the Texas Rangers. There was one specific player who made himself known after being injured for majority of last season. And I think you know who I'm talking about. Yep, you guessed it. Mondesi hit the Royals' first home run of the season on a line drive to left center field. The next home run of the game was hit by the young rising star, Nick Pratto. The official first game of the Royals spring training ended in a 5-5 tie. The Royals then moved on to play the Arizona Diamondbacks this past Sunday. The first 2 innings were a little slow, but the bottom of the third, things started to pick up for the Royals as Michael Taylor homers on a fly ball to center field. Bats were on fire as Taylor, Perez, and Rivera all had home runs in the game. It was a very high-scoring match, but a double play by Olivares in the bottom of the 9th brought the Royals an 11-10 victory and first official win of spring training. I'm expecting big things from this year's team. We have some strong hitters, a pretty solid outfield, and not to mention we have the #1 prospect, Bobby Witt Jr. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Let's go Royals!
Thanks, Marissa. I'm really hoping the Royals aren't embarrassing this year. Fingers crossed. But on to some other sports news. March Madness kicked off this past week, and it yet again lived up to its name. 15 seed St. Peter's provided the first major shock of the tournament when they upsetted 2 seed Kentucky 85-79 in overtime on late Thursday night. I came into the tournament not even knowing this school existed, but after the shocking Kentucky and then Murray State defeats, I'm officially on the Peacock bandwagon the rest of the way. Locally, the Kansas Jayhawks made Texas Southern look like the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round, and then in the second round gutted out an intense 79-72 win over Creighton to advance to the Sweet 16. Games begin Thursday with the Jayhawks set to take on Providence Friday night. The NFL continued to steal all the headlines this past week as well, with even more big moves. The Chiefs signed safety Justin Reed to a 3-year deal to presumably replace the Honey Badger, and then followed that up with bringing in Juju Smith-Schuster to help the receiving corps and make TikToks with Jackson Mahomes. All jokes aside, the moves add some much-needed firepower to a division that has apparently lost its mind trying to dethrone the Chiefs. The Raiders continued this trend when they traded for the best receiver in football, Devontae Adams, to pair with former college quarterback Derek Carr. And I've got to say, the Raiders are really putting forth a good effort to be the best last-place team in NFL history after making this move. Certainly they can finish 9-8 and only lose to the Chiefs by 10 instead of 30 this time. Another blockbuster trade that went down was quarterback Deshaun Watson getting dealt to the Cleveland Browns for the first three first-round picks and some later picks as well. Watson is still facing heavy criticism for his 22 sexual assault allegations, but as of now is not facing any legal charges or suspensions from the NFL. If he's found guilty of anything, I doubt the NFL will care due to how they've handled cases like Kareem Hunt, Ray Rice, and Ben Roethlisberger in the past, but if they do, the Browns just made the most Browns move possible. To end off today's segment, I recently got to sit down with UMKC Athletics Communication Director Jared Fox and had a good chat about what he does here and just an overall overview of who he is. Let's take a look. What's up, Roos? I'm Jackson Ogden here today with Jared Fox, who is the Kansas City Athletic Communication Director. First of all, Jared, thank you for coming out today. Pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here. Excited to talk with you.
So first things first, I think a lot of people want to know what is it exactly that you do here, because I'm not even going to lie, I wasn't really sure what you did here, so it's a fair question.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. And pinpointing an exact, what I do is kind of tough. They have the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. They have the phrase, wears many hats. Those phrases both describe what I do as an athletic communications director or a sports information director really well. I'll do anything from updating the website, writing recap articles after games, updating social media in-game, creating graphics, creating videos, and really overseeing the communications department as a whole. We've got some student managers and some graduate assistants that help me out with a lot of the content side of things. So making sure they're staying on task and doing things to progress the Kansas City Athletics brand forward, and really be in communication with the Kansas City, the local and the national media when necessary, and organizing any interviews or anything that they might want to set up with the athletic department. So
now that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff, and a lot of people that might be interested in doing any of that are going to wonder, how did he get into that? How do I get into that? So take me back a little bit. I know you went to Hanson College. What did you do there? What were some of the steps that you took to get to the role that you were today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it all started in high school. Really, like it's been a building process. I did a lot of theater and journalism in high school, and then obviously I was involved in sports. I was a manager for the football team, for the basketball team. And I was on the tennis team all 4 years, ended up playing tennis in college. So I was very involved in athletics. I've been around sports my entire life. So I kind of knew that I wanted to stick in the sports world, but also involve my skills in theater, involve my skills in journalism in any ways that I could possibly do so. So yeah, like you said, I went to Hastings College up in Nebraska. I was on the media team up there. It was a great experience. Had a great broadcasting program up there. We would go to the NAI Women's Basketball National Championship every year in Sioux City, Iowa. My last couple of years, we did the National Volleyball Championships as well. So I had opportunities to do, everything from running camera, operating the replay machine, commentating, tech directing, everything in between for some like nationally broadcast basketball and volleyball matches. So it was really cool. I was able to get some great experience. I worked at the local newspaper there up in Hastings for a little while. And then when I graduated, I was kind of trying to figure out what my next steps were, because I knew eventually I would want to go back to school. I didn't know if I wanted to do it right away, but I knew I would want to eventually. And so I was kind of looking around. I didn't really want to do the whole local news, like try to work my way up in that way. And I had worked closely with our sports information director at Hastings. And so I was kind of intrigued to see, you know, like if I could do that as well. So I ended up getting a GA position at Kansas City. I was here for the last 2 years, started in 2019, and did it last year as well. Really kind of was able to get my feet wet and figure out learn the ropes and things, and was blessed to be offered a full-time position after I graduated with my master's last semester.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a heck of a road. That's a lot. So with all of that and with all of that you currently do, what are some of the challenges that you did face on your way here, and then some of the challenges you still face today as it pertains to your role?
Right, absolutely. You know, like you said, there's a lot that I do, and so, you know, just like keeping up with everything can feel overwhelming sometimes. Luckily, I've got a great team that works with me, the external department as a whole. For Kansas City Athletics, we're all, you know, we get after it, we work hard, and we really, I think, are one of the premier external relations teams in mid-major athletics. And like I said, I've got student managers and GAs who help me out just a ton. But it can be overwhelming sometimes, you know, just everything that's going on, the crossover seasons especially. So like in between, the fall one is tough when we've got volleyball and both the soccers and basketball kicking off. And then right now, you know, we're wrapping up basketball, but tennis and golf
right.
and softball are all kicking off. And so, you know, those areas in late November, early December, or like mid-February to early March are kind of tough. Yeah, exactly. Are kind of tough just because there's a lot going on. But you know, we're able to kind of sit down and, you know, we do what we can.
Right.
Like there's always more that could be done. That's the thing that's kind of tough to learn because I'm a go-getter. Like
right.
I want to do things to the best of my ability, like as best as I can. And there's always things that could be improved. There's always more that can be done. But it's really about like sitting back and thinking, all right, here are the most important things. Here are the things that we need to do, and here's how we're going to do them. So, you know, we don't get too overwhelmed, but at the same time, we're still getting things done. You know.
Absolutely. So as someone that played tennis in high school, even though I don't look like it, I'm more of a football build, but I did play some tennis in high school. I noticed that you were involved in the Stephanie Waterman Foundation, which provides tennis opportunities for some of Kansas City's underserved communities. So I just kind of wanted to ask you, why did you feel involved to do that? I know you said you did play tennis, but what really made you get into that, and can you kind of describe what that does?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, so like you said, I played tennis through high school, played in college when I was at Hastings, and so tennis has always been like the sport that I am just around the most, and wanted to stay involved in as much as I could. When I was a GA at the end of my first year and through last year, I was actually working with the USTA, the United States Tennis Association. I was working with the Heart of America district, doing just like some digital content for them. So that was a really good way to kind of expand my tennis network in the Kansas City area, because I didn't know much about tennis up here until I took that position. So I was able to meet some people, and one of those people was Scott Hanover, who he's the executive director of the Stephanie Waterman Foundation, and in my last semester of my master's program, I was supposed to have an internship, and so I ended up doing my reaching out to Scott and saying, hey, I need this internship. Do you think I could work with the Stephanie Waterman Foundation? And he was generous enough to give me that opportunity. And you know, I've had a blast. We do a ton of different things with the foundation, anywhere from after school programs for like elementary and middle school kids to like off-season training with high school student athletes, group trainings with high school athletes who maybe don't have the opportunity to work individually with coaches or you know, do some of that extra stuff. So. You know, we do the Stephanie Waterman Foundation does a lot in the Kansas City area, and I'm really happy that I'm able to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, it sounds awesome, because I just feel like a lot of people don't really look at tennis like that. They look at football as an out, they look at basketball as an out, like more of the popular sports, but tennis is, I've seen guys, I was on a team just as much like that, guys who are trying to, do that don't have the stuff. I mean, I knew guys that didn't have rackets. I knew guys, it's hard on them. And so I think that's an awesome project that you're a part of. And kind of speaking on top of that, is there any athlete that's kind of inspired you? It doesn't have to be tennis, but any athlete that's kind of you look up to, your role model, past, present, multiple?
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, man, Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre, okay.
No, that's always one that I go to because before he went to KU, I was a KU fan growing up. I might get ostracized or fired for saying that, but I was a KU fan growing up, and so Kelly Oubre came through. I had never like cut my hair. I just had like an afro through high school, and he came through. I was like, oh, I can do something different with that. Got the haircut, but yeah, that's kind of. Beside the point. I would say, like, in terms of actual inspiration, I didn't look a ton to professional athletes necessarily for that kind of inspiration. Obviously, as a tennis player, you kind of choose one of the big three, the Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. I was always a big Federer fan. I just think he carries himself well, and, he's a proven winner.
Right.
But I didn't necessarily look to athletes for that type of inspiration. My dad was a basketball coach, and so he was always kind of my inspiration in that way.
Yeah. So one last question before we wrap up here today. I believe you started this role in October, right? Okay. What would you like to tell Jared October today that he should have known back then? Because you've been there for a while now. I mean, you've been here for a while, but since taking over this role, I can just tell you, I started coming here in January, and there's a lot of things I'd like to tell myself in January that I didn't know now. So what would you tell October Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just tell him, keep on taking it a day at a time. You've got these big goals and these big aspirations. Not everything's going to happen overnight. It's a grind. Just keep working at it.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, I really appreciate your time. I know you're really busy, as you said. So thank you for coming in. And yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this interview up. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us this week. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram.
And check out RooTV and Roo News for campus and UMKC Metro updates. We'll see you next week.